All right, so let's talk about the assignments for week 2, just to give you guys a few little clues about some things that can help you out. So let's talk about the base map for a minute. One important thing to understand about the base map is that it's the foundational assignment for almost all the other assignments. So throughout this course, you're going to be building a comprehensive portfolio. All of your assignments are stacking up layers to this design project, and when you have that entire design project together, it's going to be a portfolio for your site that's fairly comprehensive and extensive here. So the idea is that your base map is the bottom layer. And a lot of your other mapping exercises, you're going to actually be building layers on top of your base map. So when you create your base map, you're going to want to have that in mind. And when you choose your medium, right, your medium being whether you do hand drawing for your mapping, whether you have computer skills and you do some sort of digital mapping, whether you even use PowerPoint, right? There's a lot of different methods that people can employ, and we're not going to tell you specifically which method to use. That's something that you're going to figure out, and sometimes people have a little bit of a learning curve when they're figuring out which method is going to be best for them. And sometimes people switch throughout the course, and sometimes, you know, it takes people a little while to really get their groove of how they want to present their work, and that's completely okay. We understand that. But this is really the first point where you really want to start thinking about that, because your base map is going to be your bottom layer, and then your subsequent maps, you want to be able to place them on top of your base map, right? I'm just going to write that. So some of the things that are going to help you with that is to choose a measurable scale, right? To create your map. So if you're doing hand drawing, you can easily put a ruler down on top of your map and you can measure. If you're doing computer, so a lot of you actually will end up taking your base map right off of Google Earth or Google Maps, taking a satellite image and getting that image properly scaled. So then when you want to put a tree on top of that image in some way, however you're going to do it, that tree, and you want that tree to have a 30 or 30-foot diameter canopy, you're going to be able to measure a 30-foot diameter canopy and place it on your map, right, and not have to guess at it. So that's one aspect to the base map assignment. And another thing is just the purpose of all of your maps. You have to remember that you are conveying information to somebody else. So whether that's someone else or your fellow students, or whether it's your instructor, you need to create your map so it's not just legible to you, but it's actually legible to another person looking at it. And this may kind of sound obvious, but it's really something to keep in mind when you're writing notes on your map, when you're doing things, when you're writing in very small print, or if you're taking a picture or scanning your map and then putting it for your instructor and your other students to review. Keep in your mind the fact that other people, that the point of your map is to convey the information to other people and try to make it as legible as possible for other folks, okay? So that's it on the base map. And again, feel free to ask questions, of course, to me or the other instructors. Also look at some of the types of work that other students have done if you want to see other ways to do it. And now we're going to talk about the sector compass. So the sector compass, one of my favorite permaculture tools in our toolbox, right? So we've got your site down in here, right? And you're creating this compass. Now, when we're talking about the sun sectors on the sector compass, one thing to note is that the sun sectors are always going to be symmetrical placed on your compass, whether you're in the northern or the southern hemisphere. So I'm going to draw this for someone in the northern hemisphere. Your winter sun sector, your winter sun sector is always going to be a pie shape. Now, depending how far north or south latitude you are, that pie shape is going to have a different shape to it, right? What arc your winter sun, like where the winter sun rises and sets, basically. That's what these arcs represent. And then the summer sun. Also, this point represents where the sun rises on June 21st, the summer solstice, and where the sun sets on June 21st, the summer solstice. This point represents where the sun rises on December 21st, the winter solstice, and where the sun sets on December 21st, the winter solstice. So they're always going to be symmetrical in relation to your compass, okay? Another thing that we, actually, let me just make a little note there. I'm not sure if I spelled that right. Another thing we're asking you to do is to examine the socioeconomic sectors, right? So you may live somewhere like I do, where I literally have what we might call a crime sector. And the crime sector for me is the place where you can look up my driveway and you can see all of our bicycles parked along a fairly busy road with a lot of people wandering around, right? And so for me, I feel a certain vulnerability that someone might come and take our bikes because it happens in the neighborhood. So that's an example of it's kind of a negative example of a socioeconomic sector, but it is something to think about. So we're not just looking at sun, wind, fire direction. We're not just looking at the physical properties. We're also thinking about social sectors as well. I also have a children's sector, which is the road where kids every day are walking to and from the school that's right down the block for me. So we're asking you to think about and involve the human element in your sector compass, okay? One thing to remember is that we are still in the analysis phase. And right now we're really asking you not to do any kind of design work on this tool right here, but to stay in the phase where we're soaking up, we're in observation. Design will come later. Design will come as a response to a lot of these analysis tools that we're using, but it's not time to design at this point. And then the last thing I want to say about the sector compass relates to water. Water, the flow of water is, as we've talked about already somewhat, and we'll talk about more, the flow of water, typically you can figure out that tree pattern. Somewhere on the landscape you can see that tree pattern, and that's how water moves across the landscape. So water oftentimes is a pattern that overlays over the landscape, and only in certain circumstances do you find water as a sector. Because remember, sectors are directional forces. They're forces that are coming through your site from outside, right? And they're coming towards your site, right? So in some circumstances, water is coming from outside to your site. For example, in the flood sector. If you live near an area where a flood comes from a particular direction, you may have a flood sector. Also, if you live on a site that just has a creek running right through it, you may have a directional force where water's definitely coming from. But for the most part, water is a pattern that is overlaid over the whole site, and it's difficult to represent it in a sector diagram. So those are all of my pointers for the week 2 assignments. and good luck. And I know myself and the other instructors are excited to see what you come up with. So thank you very much.